Well, hello there, and welcome back to another reaction video, cause reasons, and I honestly don't feel like recording Harry Potter or Warhammer today. Yeah. I mean the Warhammer Space Marines game. I would love to record a game of actual Warhammer, but those around in that takes like hours, apparently. Anyway, today we'll be reacting to SCP-203, Tortured Iron Soul. I mean, why not? Anyway, let's push and see what's gonna happen. Also, audio might be a bit different, because someone said the audio was kind of off.
Man is an incredibly fragile creature. How was
No
it that the
duh.
universe thought of using such an unreliable material for its supposedly most advanced creation? Skin and muscles can be easily pierced by any sharp instrument, and I'm not even gonna mention the bones. They break at the slightest load. How did it not occur to the creator to make bones out of some kind of metal? SCP-203 may have thought the same thing, but now he regrets it. He was previously an ordinary Caucasian male with average biological characteristics. But now, his height reaches over 8 feet or 2.5 meters, and his weight is about 440 pounds or 200 kilograms. I'll admit these are astounding measurements, but it's rather difficult to call them anomalous. However, the reason for such unusual physical features is definitely anomalous. The fact is that SCP-203's skeleton was completely removed from the body, and a cast iron mechanical equivalent was installed in its place. Thanks to this tuning up, the man gained weight and grew significantly. In order for the artificial frame to fit, all of the person's internal organs were most likely removed. So, the frame is now the only structure that makes SCP-203 function at all. In some places, the natural skin from the subject's body is peeling away, exposing the metal filling. In other areas, the frame specifically protrudes or shines through the skin as a decorative element. In some other parts of the body, this is especially pronounced. For example, on the fingers. They're much longer than those of an average person. In fact, they don't even look like fingers. They're sharp 3-foot-long or meter-long spikes. The guy also has no lips whatsoever, nor a jawbone. That, and the same can be said about the brain, given that there's absolutely nothing left in the being's cranium. The soft tissues that still remain in the mouth area are attached to the skull with hook-like devices. Where a normal human would have a mouth, SCP-203 has a metal grill. Apparently, this is a speaker through which the creature communicates. Instead of a neuraxis and vertebrae, the creature has an iron rod, divided into separate fragments. Sharpened teeth are visible in some areas of the modified spine. On the leg of an ordinary person, there are 3 joints: the ankle, knee, and hip. But SCP has 2 additional joints added to those listed. Each of them is equipped with retractable tubes that connect to the back. Why this was done remains a mystery. The Iron Man's ribcage isn't protected by any bone, causing the skin to be pulled inward with each exhale. The ears, according to SCP-203's creator, weren't needed. They were cut off, and the remaining tissue sewn up. But this doesn't prevent him from hearing perfectly. Instead of toes, the anomalous has solid iron fragments. In appearance, they resemble the steel toes in boots. There are also similar metal inserts on the heels. Unlike the vast majority of organs, the eyes remain in place. But that doesn't
Sucks
mean
to be that guy, huh?
Due to the needles stuck in the eye sockets, the eyes are unable to move. So it's highly doubtful that they're able to perform their function. The irises don't show any reaction to light. Based on physiology, the creature shouldn't be able to speak, since the vocal cords are also missing. However, the object is able to communicate through the speaker. His native language is most likely Arabic. Granted, the dialect in which the creature speaks is unknown to anyone. His English is much worse. The object doesn't remember anything about his past life, and is constantly in pain and confused. The anomaly's movement is carried out thanks to unknown sources of energy located inside the creature. These provide 72 hours of continuous operation. At the end of this time, SCP-203 enters a passive state that lasts 3 to 4 hours. And then, everything starts over again. The creature cannot manage this cycle on its own. But SCP-203 would be happy to shut down of its own accord, since it's the only way out of its oppressive and bleak lifestyle, or rather existence that SCP-203 leads. However, in order to feel pain, the brain and other components of the nervous system are needed, but the object doesn't have them. It's impossible to be convinced of his painful experiences. Based on this, Foundation employees are obliged to ignore the creature's complaints of pain. Perhaps he just wants to make staff empathize with him in this way. Sure, he doesn't have a nervous system, but he can still affect yours. This feature became clear relatively recently. The object has been found to emit a high-frequency sound, which is very detrimental to some listeners. It comes from the dynamics of the object. Granted, the creature uses it solely for the purposes of self-defense, as a response to some provocation or attempt to harm him. This problem was first encountered when D-104 was trying to escort the anomaly to his cell. However, the object didn't want to carry out the order. D-104 decided he wasn't going to stand on ceremony with the object and hit him. As the sound began to come out of the speaker, D-104 continued to act violently towards the anomaly.
Yeah, no duh, it's a
still forced
D-class.
the object into the chamber, but he soon paid the price.
Yep.
1 minute after exposure, the aggressor experienced a very bad headache. After about 15 minutes, the pain became more intense, and blood started flowing from his ears. But the sound coming from the object's speaker didn't stop. 20 minutes into the incident, D-104 was forced to leave his post and seek medical attention. After another 10 minutes,
He
the
died.
victim's blood was gushing from everywhere, out of any place possible to bleed from. D-104 had a seizure. After another 5 minutes, he began begging for someone to silence the anomaly. Although by that time, D-104 was already well beyond the audibility of the unpleasant sound. As a result, 40 minutes after the activation of the sound,
And dead.
the offender died. However, he wasn't the only person who had heard this sound. D-104 was on duty near the cell with his partner, D-171. The second guard wasn't affected by the anomaly's cry. Having discovered such a feature, Foundation employees decided to conduct an experiment.
Oh,
For these
no.
purposes, employee D-90 was taken and locked in the same cell with the Iron Man. The subject was armed beforehand with a stun gun, which he was to use against the object. D-90 didn't really want to take that risk, but he didn't have a choice. After receiving a discharge of current, the creature began to make the unpleasant sound after about half a minute. 1 minute after activating the scream, D-90 began to display agitation. He used the stun gun again while the Iron Man continued to scream from the fetal position. The scream stopped only after 25 minutes, when the assailant with the stun gun was already in a fit. But this was a premature conclusion. The sound simply went beyond the range of human perception and continued to have its effect. About 35 minutes after activating the defensive reaction, the subject began to vomit blood, some even seeping through his eyes. Before long, the poor man died.
Yeah, no
and the
duh.
object went completely silent. But that wasn't enough for him. The Iron Man waited a few minutes after the guy's death, and then began to remove the skeleton of the deceased person like an experienced surgeon. Obviously, the experiment became too unpredictable, so the anomaly wasn't allowed to complete what he had started. But some interesting conclusions made themselves apparent. Foundation employees suggested that, through such defense, the object creates new instances of its own kind. Foundation management hasn't decided whether or not they should conduct research that could confirm this. But judging by the words of the object himself, his defensive reaction and subsequent actions are manifested unconsciously. Perhaps someone is trying to dissect the bodies of the offenders instead of him. During an interview, the Iron Man asked to be shown a video of the experiment where he tried to pull the skeleton out of the test subject. According to SCP-203, he shuts off the second a defensive scream begins to sound from the speaker. He described this state as a kind of darkness, in which he can't see anything. During his absence, someone else is using his body. SCP-203 reported that there was some evil inside him, and then began to speak of himself in the plural. The object also said that the doctor interrogating him is the only person who treats him well. The anomaly said the doctor named the object Edward. Granted, the guards from the D-Class group messed it up by adding mocking bits like scissor hands, but that's not the point. SCP-203 sensed that this doctor saw him as a person, not some piece of metal. The doctor denied everything, but his emotions showed that he really did want to help the creature. That, and the object itself, verbally confirmed these intentions. The doctor denied everything.
But seriously though,
To
Edward...
prevent the anomaly from saying too much, the doctor was forced to interrupt the interview. And doing so, he finished it permanently, since the doctor was then suspended from working with the object. This may not be the first time that humanity has broken through the callous, sometimes overly bureaucratic system of the SCP Foundation. And perhaps the doctor really could do something to help the suffering of the creature. But the object had set itself up by betraying its potential savior. However, let's not forget that evil lives inside SCP-203. He himself said so. And if you succumb to your feelings and ease the suffering of the poor guy, won't a gesture of mercy release all this evil? Or, on the contrary, is it evil to deny compassion for the sake of an ephemeral higher goal? Generally speaking, share your opinion on all this in the comments below.
Anyway, that was it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video of whatever I'll be making. And feel free to let me know if the audio is normal now. Anyway...